Okay, so first open your booklet to behind the tab 5. Behind tab 5. And most people would do 1, 2, 3, 4, but at the ACLU we prefer to do 5, 6, 7, 8. Just because we like to do things different. So this is a map of the 3rd floor of the Capitol, which is where you're going to go to lobby. And the system is very simple, even though it sounds a little intimidating at first. Some people think that if they're going to come up here, what they're going to do is make an appointment with their legislator and go meet them in the office. That's not what's going to happen if you're here during the session. Off session, that might happen, but during the session, they're crazy busy. And so what we do is we actually go up and we pull them off the Senate or the House floor and we talk to them. And so essentially what you do is if you look at the Senate side, like say you're going to go talk to a senator, you go to where the little dot says Senate Forms, and there's going to be a podium, and it's going to have a bunch of forms on it. And you're going to take a form and you're going to fill it out. And it's very simple. It'll say, you know, what's your name? You guys should all be able to handle that one. It's going to say, who are you associated with? And if you're going to see your legislator, you're going to write constituent, so that they know that you're a constituent of theirs. And you know, it's going to say to, and you put your senator's name, and then it's going to ask you, you know, what's your message? And you're going to write, I would like to talk to you about, and then the bill that you want to talk to the person about. So it's pretty simple. You fill out the form, and then you walk a few steps to where it says Senate pages, and on each side, both the House and the Senate, there's going to be a table there with 3 women, and you're going to hand them your slip. And they're going to give it to like a little 10-year-old kid who's sitting along the side. They're all going to have little numbers on them. So when they hand the page, your slip of paper, pay attention to what they look like and what their badge says, because sometimes they get a little overwhelmed and they might forget who you are. So you want to know who they are. So you give them your slip, they take your slip, and they run into the Senate, and they give your slip of paper to your legislator. Your legislator gets it and gives them a message back. It could be, well actually sometimes they can't find them. So they might come back to you and say, your legislator's not at his desk, come back in 5 minutes, and then simply you come back in 5 minutes. Or they might have a message saying, you know, I'm about to vote, or this is my bill, something like that, come back in 5 minutes. So in those cases, don't get discouraged, because they are likely telling the truth, that they just can't talk right then. But most of the time, they're going to come right out. So they're going to come out, there's little red ropes, and they're going to be on their side of the red rope, and you stay on your side of the red rope, and they just come out and they chat with you. Very simple. Okay, so you've gotten that far, the legislator is there, what do you do? All right, now you want to turn the page to tips on meeting with your elected officials. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what's on here, and you know, you can look at it more later if you feel you need to. The first thing is do your homework, but since you're here, we've already done it for you. Yes, exactly. That's the whole point of coming here, so you get to skip part 1. So, okay, the second part is convey your message. The first and most important thing, I think, is to be courteous and positive. This might be a little discouraging, depending on, you know, sometimes people don't agree with you, and sometimes they might not be as nice as you would like them to, but you have to maintain your composure and be polite and be courteous to them. And this is very important for a couple of reasons. First of all, think about if it were you and someone came up to you and they started being rude. Your first reaction is like, whatever, I don't really care what you say because I think you're rude. So they're gonna discount your argument. Second of all, they're gonna associate your rudeness with like your whole group. So they're gonna say like, those people who come and lobby on peach care issues are really obnoxious. And so next time someone says I want to talk about this bill, I don't really think I want to talk to them. So for the good of your conversation and the good of your whole issue, you need to sort of stay positive. And if they're, you know, saying some rude things, you know, just say, you know, I'm sorry we disagree on this, and you know, try to convey your point. But if it gets to the point where you can't do that, just say thank you for talking with me, and just move on. It's not worth getting the fight over. And also another reason this is important is because you might disagree on this issue, but you might totally agree on another issue. Like at the ACLU, there's lots of people up there that we totally disagree on choice issues, so reproductive freedom issues we could not ever agree on. But we totally agree on privacy issues. And so if the first time I went to talk to them, I went to talk to them about an abortion issue, and I was like, you're a complete jerk. When I went to them about a privacy issue, they'd be like, I don't want to talk to her because she's pretty obnoxious and I don't want to deal with her. So you might need them for something else. So you need to keep being nice. Bring up personal connections if you can, or if you know something about your legislator, or if you know your legislator voted yes on something in the past. You might want to start by saying thank you so much for your vote on such and such. If you don't know something like that, that's okay. I realize that you're here and you might not have done that homework already. But if you have something you can say, if you have some sort of a connection, if you know something about them, try to throw that in. You want to keep it short, focused, and on point. We're going to be giving you some talking points and telling you about the issue, and you want to pick like your top 3, what you think are the most persuasive, because what you think is the most persuasive is what it's easiest for you to sell to them. So you don't want to go through like this huge laundry list of stuff because it might sort of get lost. So try to keep it on what you think are the most important points. Never make anything up. If they ask you a question, I know sort of the initial instinct is like you have to give them an answer or they're going to be like, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But it is much worse to say an answer and have it be wrong. Because again, not only going to be like, these peach care people will say anything to get me to vote for them. So it'll be not just you, but the entire group that they'll associate with. So instead say, I don't know the answer, but I can find out and get back to you. And that sort of gives you another in to have another conversation with the person. So now you can say, if you go to behind tab 5, we're looking at the second page. So that way you can write them a letter later or come back to them later, another time and say, hey, we had this conversation, you asked me this question, here's the answer. So that gives you a whole new opportunity to talk to them. So it's, in a way, a positive thing. And you want to ask them for something specific. You want to say, I want you to vote yes for this, I want you to vote no for this, with a bill number, so that you're actually asking them something concrete and positive that you actually get a response from. Because sometimes you can have these long conversations with people and you're like, that was great, and then you're like, I have no idea what they think about this bill. So make sure that you have a specific thing to ask for. And today, I'm not sure how, since we haven't gotten that far yet, but I'm not sure how we're going to do it. If you guys go in groups, very important to make sure that the group has agreed what you're going to talk about. And so the group has to decide, this is the bill we're going to talk about, and this is the position we're taking on the bill. And someone else in the group shouldn't bring up a bill you haven't discussed. That happened like one of our first lobby days. A group like of 4 women went in, and then one of them was like, I want to talk to you about tort reform. And 2 of the other women were like, I actually don't have the same position that you have on tort reform. That was not so good. So just make sure that you're all agreeing on the issues. Any questions about that part?
Do the senators know that we're here for a lobby day meeting? Are they just going to assume like you're like everyone else? Or?
No, you're like everyone else.
One more stranger in the hall.
Yeah, yeah. Which is,
nice.
Yeah.
I like that kind of anonymity when I can get it.
Exactly. And it's going to have a big impact. They're going to be interested in talking to you because you're constituents. And anyone who takes the time, they take off work or take off school or whatever, who comes up here to actually talk to their legislators, it impresses the legislators. I mean, that means something to them that, you didn't just sit in your office and send an email. You took the time and care enough about the issue and know enough about the issue to come up here and talk to your legislator. Yeah.
Can we talk to legislators that aren't ours?
Yes.
Absolutely. We will do that.
Yeah, and the most effective way to do that is if it's a member of a committee. So the way the system works is you have your own legislator, and then legislators are assigned to committees. And because the committees are small, there might be 7 people on a committee. Some of them are much bigger than that, but your legislator might not be on that committee, and so people on committees represent you even if you're not a constituent. So the easiest way to go to legislators is say, instead of putting constituent on the thing, you can write, I usually recommend that people write like Georgia citizen, and you can put in the message, I'm here to talk to you about SB 10, it's in your committee.